Forester Hybrid. Words that have never been said together until now. New for this year is the first ever Forester Hybrid, and we are hoping that it fixes some of the issues that we had with the gas vehicle, mainly when it comes to efficiency, a lackluster driving experience, and noise. But it has stiff competition. This current Honda CR-V, it's been around for a few years, but it outsells the Forester 2-to-1, and for good reason. There's a lot to like here. We're going to take a deep dive into both of these SUVs to find out if the Forester Hybrid has the goods to take a bite out of the CR-V sales. Lots to cover, let's get into it. If you want to know more about these vehicles or any other hybrid SUV, or if you're looking for a price on a new or used car, head over to Edmunds.com, and while you're there, you can also get a cash offer on your old ride. So why are you buying a hybrid in the first place? And for most folks, the answer to that question is because you want to save some money on gas. And in that regard, the Forester Hybrid is already a success. That means if you're driving 15,000 miles a year, you'll save about $300 a year or 100 gallons of gas. That's pretty good. It's about equal in efficiency to the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid, but both of those are a little bit behind the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. The best part about driving the Forester Hybrid, though, is that you immediately notice that it's both quieter and smoother than the gas car. Subaru has added additional noise deadening to the hybrids, so you get a lot less wind noise and road noise. And because that engine isn't working as hard, since this is a hybrid, you get a lot less engine noise as well. And the ride quality, which was the biggest problem we had with the gas Forester, that's also been improved. Subaru has actually changed up the suspension tuning for the hybrid, so now it doesn't feel like it's shaking and rattling all over the place, and even over broken pavement, the ride is pretty good. In addition to being more efficient, the Forester Hybrid is also quicker than the gas car, 8.9 seconds to 60 versus 9.2. But in addition to 0 to 60 times, we also measure 0 to 30 miles an hour times. And in that regard, the hybrid holds a bigger advantage over the gas car, so that around town, it feels a lot more substantive. That little boost from the electric motor just makes it feel better off the line. And so if you're going stoplight to stoplight or stop sign to stop sign, the experience in the hybrid is just way better. One advantage that the Forester Hybrid has is its all-wheel drive system. Now, most other hybrid SUVs, when they say that they're all-wheel drive, what they mean is that they have to wait until they detect slip at the wheels before they send power to the rear. But the Forester Hybrid, it keeps the same symmetrical all-wheel drive system that the gas car has, and that means that it's sending power to all the wheels all the time, and that makes it a lot more confident in low traction situations. You don't have to wait for the wheels to actually start slipping before you get better grip and performance. It's a good thing that the Forester Hybrid retains those off-road chops, because that's a big reason that people are drawn to Subis in the first place. All the driver aids that you would expect are here, and adaptive cruise control with lane keeping comes standard. Now, the adaptive cruise control can feel a bit sluggish at times, especially when you're trying to accelerate to keep up with the car ahead of you, but it works just as advertised. And the lane keeping is pretty good too. The one problem with the system, though, is that it's not really great at detecting when your hands are on the wheel. You actually have to kind of give it a little shake to let you know your hands are there, and it's checking you about every 10 seconds, or it'll beep at you and it'll actually lower the volume of the music or whatever you're listening to while it's doing it. It's just a very needy system. A lot of other cars, they're not like this. One advantage, though, that the Forester has over the CR-V is that on its top trim level, the Touring, it offers a pretty good 360 surround view camera system, and the CR-V only offers a rear view camera. So the Forester Hybrid is going to give you better fuel economy, it's going to drive better, it's going to ride better. There are really no disadvantages from adding a little bit of electrification to this powertrain. In fact, the way that this drives makes it feel like this is a brand new generation of the Forester, but inside, not so much. And that's because the Forester Hybrid's interior is basically identical to that of the gas model, and that means you're going to run into the traditional Subaru problem of a not great interior when it comes to materials. A lot of the stuff that you're touching around the doors here, it kind of feels like it came off of a backpack, and this center console is weirdly textured. It sort of feels like a wetsuit. Now, it's worth noting that we're not in the top trim level of the Forester Hybrid. That would be the Touring, and it gets real leather, which is good. In the sport trim like the one we're in, you get synthetic leather, and lots of automakers use synthetic leather, but they do a much better job of making it feel natural. The one in here feels very slippery and artificial. Not very good to sit in for long trips. That being said, there are parts that look and feel good, like this hex pattern here in front of the passenger, and there's this nice contrast stitching on the seats, but unfortunately, those aren't things you're gonna touch very often. Spaciousness up front, though, is excellent. The only way that you could get more headroom is by having an open top convertible, and that also means that all of the windows around you are really tall, and that means that you get excellent visibility out of this Forester. You also get a sunroof standard here in the Forester Hybrid, and it's really big, but the problem is that opening goes way back. So if you're old like me and your shoulders don't work like they used to, it can be tough to open it all the way. Interior storage is also a weak point in the Forester. For an SUV, it's actually really bad. There are no extra storage bins or anything here. You just get this wireless charging pad, unless you want to put your phone on the cup holder. And the other problem with the charging pad is that it's very lightly rubberized, but not really grippy, so your phone slides around quite a bit. I would kill for some larger door pockets, a bigger center console bin, or even like a little shelf above the glove box like you're getting in other vehicles, but instead in the Forester, you get none. While we're up here, you can't ignore this big old screen, but unfortunately, I've been poking around it a bit, and it's not good. This screen comes standard in the hybrid models, and don't get me wrong, it's big, but it's also kind of broken. This infotainment system we first saw in the 2020 Outback, but it kind of feels like it came from something more like 2010 because of how pixelated it is and how slow it functions. Compared to a modern smartphone, it's going to feel ancient, and that's mostly because there's what we call input lag. So that means that when you press a button, it takes a little while for things to respond. And that's also a problem because Subaru has put a lot of controls into this screen. So if you want to turn on your heated seats, got to do that through the screen. If you want to change drive modes, you got to do that through the screen too. And having to wait for those functions to turn on just grinds at you. We've also noticed that when you start the car up, it can take 10 to 20 seconds for the screen to respond. So you can be poking at it and nothing is happening until it finally decides to boot up, and then everything happens all at once. So yes, there is wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which do make things better, and Apple CarPlay very nicely takes up this whole screen here. However, those things also suffer from some lag and don't always work like you would want either, so still not good. Now you do get the ability to see maps in the big 12.3-inch digital cluster, which is good. But let's say that you're using Apple CarPlay, you can actually only see Apple Maps in there. So if you like to use Google Maps like I do to have all my stuff in one spot, you actually can't put that one into the cluster. So at first glance, this tech suite might seem really nice, but the moment you start to use it, it becomes disappointing. Backseat of the Forester Hybrid is just like the front, exceptionally roomy. You also get 2 USB charging ports back here, air vents, and you can also get heated rear seats in the Touring, which you can't get in the CR-V. Really large door openings and easily accessible lower and upper latch anchors mean that this backseat is also great for car seats. The Forester Hybrid's interior is exceptionally roomy, but its subpar materials, poor infotainment experience, and lack of small item storage means that there's a chance for the Honda to do much better. Okay, I've been poking around a little bit, and spoiler alert, the smaller screen is better. The CR-V's touchscreen may not look as impressive on a showroom floor, but it's actually easier to live with, and the big reason is because it doesn't lag at all. Now, things aren't perfect. There's actually a newer version of Honda's infotainment that we like a lot more that the CR-V will actually add for 2026, so that's coming. In the meantime, though, you're still getting wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and even though the only data port is a USB-A port, that's mitigated again by that wireless connectivity. And it's not just the touchscreen that's easier to use. This whole interior feels a lot more functional than that of the Subaru because Honda does such a good job with physical buttons and controls. So those heated seats you had to go into the screen for on the Forester, those are easy to find and see buttons right here, and all of your climate controls also live here and not the screen, so they're easier to change without having to take your eyes off the road. Unlike the Subaru, materials look and feel great for a vehicle like this. You get two-tone seats with real leather upholstery that feels great, and what plastics there are in this cabin, they're all nicely textured and they even repel fingerprints. This speaks to something that Honda does really well, attention to detail. Every single thing that you're going to touch in this cabin regularly feels great. It's the opposite of the Subaru, where the parts that feel best are the parts you won't touch. Interior storage in the CR-V is still not great, but better than the Subi. You have this nice bin here in front of the shifter to fit stuff, and the wireless charging pad is nicely textured so your phone won't slide around. The center storage bin is a little bit bigger, and the door pockets, those are bigger too. Now, the one disappointing thing is that a lot of Honda's other vehicles, they offer cup holders that are big enough to fit real big water bottles. These are only big enough for normal things. I would also say that the CR-V's front seats, in addition to having better materials, are also a lot more comfortable for longer trips, and the CR-V also has a regular sized moonroof, but that means it's much easier to open and close. As you can see, the CR-V Hybrid's back seat isn't quite as roomy as what you're getting in the Forester Hybrid, but there's still plenty of space. I'm just under 6 feet tall. Legroom is good. Headroom, decent enough. Amenities wise, these two are also pretty equal. Rear air vents and 2 USB charging ports, though weirdly, Honda doesn't give you a storage pocket behind the driver's seat, so there's nowhere to store your in-flight magazines. There is still plenty of room back here for even a rear-facing car seat, and those lower latch anchors, super easy to get to. So when it comes down to features, the Forester Hybrid is going to offer you a few more things than the Honda does. For example, you can get ventilated front seats and heated rear seats, and we have to say that the backup camera in the Honda is absolutely abysmal. But what is here in the Honda is just executed much better. The CR-V Hybrid is a smidge more efficient than the Subaru, but it'll only save you about $50 a year on gas, and that means the bigger question is, does it drive better? So we like the Forester Hybrid's ride quality and comfort because it was so much better than the gas version of the Forester. But at the CR-V Hybrid, it's better than the Subaru in both of those things by a pretty good margin. The suspension tuning on this car is excellent. The ride is comfortable, but it doesn't feel like it comes at the expense of any handling. And the steering feel in the Honda is way better than anything you're getting in the Forester. While wind and road noise between the two vehicles are similar, engine noise is a lot more pronounced in the CR-V than it is in the Subaru. The biggest difference you're going to feel though from behind the wheel of these two SUVs though is power. And that's because the CR-V, it has a little bit more horsepower than the Subaru, but a lot more torque. And it also accelerates from 0 to 60 miles an hour almost a full second quicker. And that means that you're just gonna simply feel a lot more confident driving the vehicle, whether you're around town or trying to get on the highway especially. Now, when it comes to driver aids, just like Subaru, Honda includes most of the good stuff on the base car, but the big difference between the two is that the adaptive cruise control isn't going to ask you to keep your hands on the wheel every 10 seconds. The lane keeping, though, not quite as good as the Subaru. It has a tendency to bounce around a little bit, but we like both systems pretty well. So while the Subaru might enjoy an advantage off-road or in slippery conditions thanks to its all-wheel drive system, in every other way, the CR-V is the better driving car in everyday conditions. It's quicker, it's more comfortable, and we think that that is a bigger advantage for the Honda. Now it's time for us to check out the business end of these SUVs, the cargo area. If you look at the spec sheet, the CR-V Hybrid actually has a pretty big advantage when it comes to cargo, but we always love to test these things out ourselves, so we decided to fill them each up with as much luggage as we could. Between these two, the lift over height is about the same, the shape of the cargo area also about the same, and they both have a 12-volt port in the back for power. We do like that the Forester Hybrid does have a few extra hooks in the back for things like grocery bags so they don't slide around, and we should also mention that it gets a spare tire while the CR-V Hybrid does not. Also, the CR-V Hybrid is down a few cubic feet of cargo room to the gas versions, while the Forester Hybrid, same as the gas. Now let's look at the results of our luggage test, and believe it or not, even though it has technically a smaller cargo area, the Subaru was able to fit more luggage. So that is a clear win then for the Forester Hybrid. Now it's time to talk value, and between these two vehicles, it's going to come down to which one is more important to you, features or feel. Now, when it comes to features, the Subaru, it's loaded. Even the base Forester Hybrid is going to come with that big sunroof, the large screen, the digital cluster, heated seats, and all the safety features. And if you get to the top end of its lineup, it's going to offer two features that we really like, ventilated seats and a surround view camera that the CR-V Hybrid doesn't offer at all. However, the execution of those features, it feels haphazard in the Forester. The touch points, they don't feel great on the interior, that screen is laggy, and performance-wise, it can't keep up with the Honda. The value of the Forester Hybrid is tangible. You can touch and use it, but it doesn't always feel like it's worth the cash. However, that's not something you're going to have to worry about with the Honda, because it feels like a high quality product all around, from the way it drives, to the attention to detail, to the design and materials on the cabin. It always feels like it's worth its money. And if we get to the top trim levels, this Sport Touring CR-V Hybrid is actually $500 cheaper than the Forester Hybrid's top trim level. So any way that you slice it, I would probably rather have the car that feels like it's actually worth its price tag. So before we pack up all that luggage and get out of here, we should probably declare a winner. And to do that, we are going to turn to the fabled Edmunds rating. So go ahead and pause if you want to get a closer look at any of these categories. But just on overall score, it is clear that this is a very big win for the Honda. While it may not have done enough to catch the CR-V Hybrid, it's very clear that the Forester Hybrid is the single best version of the Forester that's ever been made. So if you have your heart set on the Subaru, that is the one to get, because there are no real compromises with it, and it definitely feels like it's worth the extra money. And if you plan to off-road a lot, that might be the right choice for you. However, for most people, the CR-V Hybrid is going to be the clear choice. It's more comfortable, it drives better, and it's even slightly more efficient. And if you can hold out one more year, it's going to get an even better interior and an off-road version of its own that's going to rival what the Subaru can do. So, which of these do you prefer? Are big screens overrated? Do I need to get outside more? Probably not, because it feels like I live on top of this parking garage. But please let us know all of your comments and questions below, because for better or worse, we read them all. And please remember to like and subscribe so we can keep making videos just like this one. Thanks for watching.